Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome into our Citrus TV studio for this live edition of Cuse Countdown. Colin Becker alongside Franco Vivanco and Jack Knight here to break down Syracuse versus number 18 Miami down at Hard Rock Stadium in South Florida. Guys, this is an interesting one because the Hurricanes, they started 5-0, now have lost 2 of their last 3 games, but we're going to start with Syracuse because they've lost 5 straight games coming off a disappointing loss in the Dome to North Carolina. So Franco, I'll start with you. What went wrong for the Orange?
Well, Colin, the answer has been the same all season long. It has been that defense. Opposition Russian offenses are doing really well against the Cuse. It's almost like when you're watching a horror movie and you know a scary scene is about to come on, and yet you still get scared nonetheless. That's how you feel watching Syracuse's defense, and we saw that in the Dome on Halloween night. Syracuse allowed over 400 rushing yards from that UMC offense. North Carolina has not rushed for over 200 yards in the past 3 games before playing Syracuse. It was a strong display from the Tar Heels. Fran Brown, I hate to say it, Jack, but he's just too predictable in this play.
Yeah, the defense has obviously been a problem all season, but one thing I want to look at, the quarterback situation. Joe Filardi was put into this position. He's now the 4th quarterback SU's used this season because of practice. Yes, we are talking about practice here on CC against a coach. Bill Belichick has historically dominated rookie quarterbacks with not a lot of experience, 21-6 against them in the NFL. Obviously with the Patriots, used to eat up Jets, Dolphins, Bills, new guys. He throws Joe Filardi in there against a tough UNC defense, and they looked unprepared. The O-line definitely didn't help as well. 3 sacks in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, the quarterback plan, it seems to change from game to game. Talked about Joe Filardi. He was recruited to play lacrosse. Now starting at quarterback for the Cuse, Ricky Collins is going to start in today's game. We're up to now 4 quarterbacks used on the season for Syracuse. I mean, Jack, this isn't sustainable, but what is Coach Fran Brown supposed to do?
Stick to one guy. This season, you know, with today could be potentially the 7th loss for the Orange, means they would miss a bowl game. The season is practically over. Stick with one guy, get him developed, and maybe look towards the future. The rest of the offense, they're continually having to develop and build and try to adjust to different quarterbacks. That means a different tempo. That means a different playbook, as Fran Brown has mentioned in press conferences. Pick a guy, stick with them, and try to learn the offense that way.
I agree with you, Jack. Fran Brown should have stuck to his gun with Ricky Collins at quarterback. He was adamant in so many press conferences that he was the guy moving forward. Then we get to the game against Pittsburgh. At the start of the second half, he takes off Ricky Collins for Luke Carney while they're chasing the game still, and you're thinking, okay, Luke Carney must be the guy moving forward. But nope, 11 plays later, Ricky Collins is back on the field for the Orange. Syracuse would go on to lose that game. It's indecisive in-game decision-making like that really makes me question how Fran Brown is handling this quarterback situation. And to rub salt on the wounds, they're starting a lacrosse commit at quarterback last Friday in the Dome. I mean, what do we have to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not just the quarterbacks that Fran Brown has shaken up. Pretty much the entire offensive coaching staff has been moved around. Nunzio Campanelli, he was the quarterbacks coach, now back to coaching tight ends. Here's what Coach Brown had to say about that and how it may affect the future of Steve Angeli.
No, Steve coming back. So I think all the coaches do a really good job. I think I'm really good at recruiting. I think I'm really good at building relationships. Steve came to play for me. The number one thing that I always tell him is your position coach may change, but you coming to Syracuse to play for me, correct? And that's why Steve's here. Does he have a great relationship with Coach Nuns? Absolutely. But Coach Nuns is still on the staff.
Strong words there from Coach Brown, but Franco, Campanelli was a big reason why Steve Angeli transferred from Notre Dame to Syracuse in the first place. Among those changes as well, Mike Johnson will now be the quarterback's coach, Josh Gaddis now the wide receiver coach, Miles White no longer on the coaching staff at all. So with all these changes, how will this affect Steve Angeli going forward, and how will it affect the Syracuse offense?
Well, unfortunately, Colin, we won't be able to see the benefits of these changes until next season because Steve Angeli is obviously out for the rest of the season. Fran Brown must have sat down with his QB1 at his discretion and then made these changes afterwards. Now, it's sort of weird seeing the shift in coaching personnel in the middle of the season as opposed to after the season has concluded, but let's be quite honest here. Syracuse does not have a lot to play for anymore. A loss against number 15 Miami today would leave them out of bowl eligibility. It must feel weird for Ricky Collins because he now has to contend with a whole new quarterback coaching staff, And, well, these changes were made without Ricky Collins' discretion. He was not in mind when these changes were made because it's quite clear to see he's not in the long-term plans for Fran Brown.
Yes, this just looks like a desperate panic move from Fran Brown and the SU coaching staff. They're rotating these coaches that are low on the totem pole. They're really rotating the whole team with the combination of the QB room and the coaches. Somehow, Fran Brown's trying to, mid-season, put out the fire that has been this 2025 Orange team, but it just doesn't come off as a great look. Emmanuel Ross, he even said that it, shocked him midweek. Not what you want to give to your players trying to prep for big games.
Yep, and what makes this season overall such a disappointment is that Syracuse had such a great start, 3-1, including a big win at Clemson. Now it's been 5 straight defeats, 3-6 on the year at the moment. A bowl game, not technically out of the question, but it's hard to see that happening right now. They need to beat Miami down in South Florida today, a win at Notre Dame, a win against Boston College in the Dome. A big part of their success early, obviously, Angeli playing so well, and then getting that Achilles injury against Clemson was a huge deal. But Jack, does that give Syracuse an excuse on the season?
Hindsight, it's always 2020. But I think if you told Orange fans back in August when the quarterback competition was still very much at heat, Angeli and Ricky Collins going back and forth, if you told them that they would go to Clemson and get a win, keep 5-star wide receiver Calvin Russell on the roster, committed, but also flip to Darius Hughes from Florida State, which recently happened this week, I think fans would have a successful outcome with that. Obviously, not the season you wanted to happen, especially with how hot they started, but it comes off strong, built for the future.
Well, Jack, I have to agree with you there. There's no denying that Fran Brown was dealt a really bad deck of cards with the Steve Angeli injury, but you would expect someone who really lives by that dark personality to handle that situation a lot better. And it's true that Ricky Collins has not lived up to the billing, but let's be honest with ourselves here. The main issue for Syracuse football this season preceded the Steve Angeli injury. It's been going on since the very first game of the season against Tennessee. It has been that defense. Syracuse has allowed at least 3 touchdowns in each of their games this season, and it's just not what you want to see on the defensive end, especially in those losses in this 5-game set that they're on right now. They've lost by at least 2 possessions in each of those games. Some of those games had really ugly scorelines like the Duke game, the Georgia Tech game. That's not what you want to see, the type of character on the field. Fran Brown needs to really take a look at himself in the mirror and ask, what can I do to make that part of my game better?
Well, 3 games left now for Syracuse football to turn things around, starting today with Miami down in South Florida. Well, when we come back, we'll go to Hard Rock Stadium with our beat reporter, Max Gifford. He's soaking up the sunshine. We'll speak with him when we return.